This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. Virgin Islands Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett is among the lawmakers reacting to the Derek Chauvin conviction in the death of George Floyd. She spoke one-on-one with our Washington correspondent Matt Knadler about policing in America. Here's their conversation.
Congresswoman, thanks for the time, and again, good to see you again. I'll pick up on there's a whole lot to talk about, so I'll pick up on the news of the week here to start with your thoughts here on this verdict for George Floyd, this Derek Chauvin murder trial. You had a lot to say on social media. Just give me your thoughts here on this as well.
Sure. First I want to say that I continue to not just pray for George Floyd, but for so many families that are going through this right now, concern about family members who have been brutalized, killed by police officers. I pray for police officers, the good police officers, who maybe after this trial now feel comfortable stepping forward. While this trial was happening, there was finally a reversal of a case against a police officer in Buffalo, a woman who had intervened, fought another police officer to keep him off of someone. She ended up losing her job, lost her pension, was out of work for 15 years before the courts reinstated her and gave her her back pay for doing the right thing. And then, for families like myself who have Black husbands, fathers, sons who are concerned for their safety. And, those of us who live in the Virgin Islands in some instance believe that we are immune to this living in the islands, but we all have sons and cousins and nephews that live in these states that are subjected to this. And they're our fellow human beings, so we should be concerned for them as well. And I have to say that I don't believe that this is justice, but this is accountability. And justice is the George Floyd Justice and Policing Bill making its way to the floor of the Senate, them debating and voting on it, and it passing, which is not to defund the police, but to give proper tools to the police, to create a database for all police officers. I even know in the Virgin Islands, think about this, right now, there is no national database that says if a police officer was removed from one police force because of his bad actions. Because of that, a police officer, someone with experience or someone who's like, yeah, I've been through academy, here's my certificates, whatever, can come to the Virgin Islands and get a job. And we don't know that this may be a racist police officer. This may be someone who has a record of brutality, have had complaints against him. I had a meeting with the FBI director, Chris Wray, who says that right now only about 40% of police departments self-report officers that have been removed. We need this to be national because I trust people of the Virgin Islands. We do not need these officers coming down to us. Additionally, we need to remove qualified immunity, which really is a means by which officers cannot be indicted or found to have acted wrongly. Qualified immunity, even in the words of Clarence Thomas, one of the most conservative Supreme Court justices, says that needs to be revisited by Congress. Qualified immunity has become almost a hood under which police officers can act as Klansmen, modern day Klansmen in the United States. Finally, I'm just really grateful for the confluence that was, in fact, Keith Ellison, my former colleague as a member of Congress, who is now the state attorney general, who pushed back on the original charges and pressed for additional harder, more stringent charges against Derek Chauvin, and having an African-American police chief in Minnesota who was willing to come forward to say that this is not proper policing. I think those are some key elements that changed the tide on that trial.
Interesting. Well, make sure to tune in to USVI News on Friday. Matt will continue his one-on-one conversation with Congresswoman Plaskett when they discuss the American Jobs Plan and what it means for the Virgin Islands. Well, the U.S. Virgin Islands has been reopened to air travel for months now with enhanced safety and health protocols in place amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And right now, air travel to the territory is up, not only because the VI is one of the most sought-after destinations in the Caribbean, but it's among the most accessible to Americans. And with more people getting vaccinated and chomping at the bit to travel, air travel continues to increase, which is good news for a still struggling tourism economy. U.S. travelers do not need a negative COVID-19 test to return home to the mainland. That's another reason for the spike in travel to the VI. And the pandemic has put the airline industry on life support for more than a year now. But with vaccines bringing new confidence to travelers, flights are up around the nation. The question is whether air travel can be safe while COVID-19 continues to spread. Deborah Alfarone takes a look.
Vaccinated and ready for a change of scenery, millions of Americans are cautiously taking to the skies.
I feel okay. I'm wearing my mask. Before I sit, I wipe down everything.
I still keep my distance. I notice other people do too.
According to the TSA, close to 1.6 million people passed through airport security last Sunday alone. On the same day last year, the number was closer to 100,000. Those packed flights make the airlines happy, but Congress still has some concerns.
At a time when we are seeing increased infection numbers in certain parts of the country and abroad, we must not let up on mitigation efforts.
Members of the airline industry participated in a virtual hearing to explore impacts of the pandemic. They focused on travel during flights and also at airports, where COVID can spread in terminals or while waiting in security lines. What's fueling this travel boom is the latest advisory from the CDC. Updated guidance says that if you're fully vaccinated, you can travel safely within the United States, but you should continue to wear a mask. The head of the Flight Attendants Union asked for an extension of the federal mask mandate.
We would ask that both the extension of the mandates on the mask and the enforcement from the TSA security directive that is set to expire on May 11th is extended through September.
New mandates or making permanent existing emergency mandates are the wrong way to go.
Even as the crowds return, an industry group predicts this year global air traffic will amount to just 43% of pre-pandemic levels. Deborah Alfarone, Reagan National Airport, Arlington, Virginia.
Since the start of the pandemic, Congress has approved more than $50 billion for airline payroll assistance. We're taking another look now at a project which aims to promote women's history here in the Virgin Islands. The goal is to show visitors and the world how the strength of women in the territory goes back hundreds of years. Our USVI News' Ali Bourne-Vanek has more.
Some of the strongest women in Virgin Islands history are about to take center stage. The spotlight is set to be on the Coal Woman through a statue designed by award-winning sculptor Susan Laurie, amplifying VI history that goes back to the 19th and 20th century.
They had an arduous task. They carried hundreds of pounds of coal on their head throughout the day and the night if ships pulled in and needed to be refueled. And so it was a story about women and about history that really needed to be told.
Going back to the 1800s, coaling women would load up large baskets of heavy coal and carry them to steamboats in St. Thomas. This work was physically grueling and often done barefoot. For a full day of carrying coal, the payment was $1.
I was inspired by their contribution, by the work that they did and how selfless that was. They came from all over the Caribbean. They came from Barbados and many other islands in order to earn a living for their families. It was really the only job some of them could ever do, because it was the transition from slavery to, independence, and it was a difficult time, and they rose to the occasion, and that really inspired me, and so that's really why I took that away from this and said, I feel like this is my calling. This is the work I need to do.
Daphne McIntosh is from St. Croix, but her great-grandmother was a coal woman in St. Thomas. She's excited about the statue and how it represents a shared history amongst our islands.
You have to find some means of supporting your family. And like I said, at that time, it was getting the coal, taking to the ship, and making some money. It was very important at that time that that was the job that was available at that time, and you got involved in it to help support the family.
With the design of the statue set, organizers say plans is for it to be at the Frederiksted Pier. And additionally, there are discussions on how to also build it in St. Thomas. This makes fundraising and support from the community key to bringing the statue to fruition.
Help us support this project. That's what we're looking for. The community to get behind it and say, yeah, those are our women, and they did a great job, and that's why we're here.
Having that statue on the dock, and that's where the tourists come in, they can see that women were also involved in helping to develop the little islands that were around them. It was not only the man, but the women also were helping to make things better for them and their family.
In St. Croix, Ali Born-Vanak, USVI News.
Wow, what an amazing project, and hard workers for sure. They deserve to be honored for their work.